rolling up in blacked out cars, talking like they own the stars, smiling for the camera flash, hands in your pocket, counting cash. Trust us this time, they'll stay. Same old trick in a brand new script. Waving papers, selling whole. Fine print line is a velvet roll. Blue suit, black heart, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, they love the power more than the people they mark. Every problem, they've got plans. Step 1, take more from your hands. Step 2, pick a team to blame. Step 3, walk off with the game. Talking justice, talking care, till you ask, hey, why's my street bare? They built mansions on those dreams, then called you cruel when you asked what it meant. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, they love the power more than the people they mark. Raise your hand if you're tired of the show. Same old play in a thrift store coat. They talk like saints, vote like sharks, writing your life with invisible marks. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, yeah. The mask falls off when the cameras go dark. Blue suits, black hearts, we're ducking props in that victory.
And the lightning is on. Welcome everybody to California Free Radio. As most of you know, and if you don't by now, I'm Mike Netter running for State Senate 22. I'm accompanied as always by Scott Piotr and Kurt English. Gentlemen, how the hell are you tonight?
Hey, doing
Doing
great.
well. Mike, can you tell us which cities are included in your state Senate district? So our
I
listeners
can,
will
but
know.
the best way to find out is go to netter.vote. And when you go to netter.vote, by the way, Kurt, it is a free site, but I will take your contributions for looking up those cities. It's East San Gabriel Valley, a big chunk of San Bernardino, including Ontario, where there's a great airport, Pomona, Azusa, Baldwin Park, a lot, because I'm going to represent 1 million people. Before we get
It's
started,
a lot of people.
that's a lot of people. And before
Also
we-
including Clearman's at Rosemead and Huntington in Temple City.
Indeed. Before we get started tonight, the biggest problem we have in California, and I say this quite often, is getting the word out. We say every week the show is blasting live on @NetterMike on X. It is blasting on @TechSpider.7 or 7. No dot for Scott. LinkedIn,
No
our
dot.
Facebook groups, Rebuild California, the Steve Hilton Group. What we need you to do, because right now, gentlemen, I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies. Are you ready?
Which movie?
Uh-oh.
Beetlejuice. It's showtime! Yes, indeed, because ballots are out. And the problem we have in California, the reason we are in the shape we're in, to quote the band, is because people aren't voting or don't know there's an election. We're here tonight. We're going to talk about something which normally is mundane, which touches everybody, but we need you to share this. We need to go to our YouTube channel, which is Outraged, and get the word out. God bless you viewers that are here every week. There are tens of thousands of them. God bless you that help us sharing the show. But to quote Beetlejuice again, it's showtime. And we need to make sure that we get the word out. Now, I want to be perfectly clear on something. There are 8 state offices. Everybody's talking about the governor's race, as they should. One of the problems we have in California is we don't realize there's 8 state offices. Right, gentlemen? And in case
How
you're
many?
not aware, 8 statewide offices. State senator, which I'm running for, isn't a statewide office, but there's 8. There's superintendent of schools. There's secretary of state, which
Wait,
you
a
talk
second, I'm going to check my ballot here just to make sure you're right.
You do that. Okay.
Go for it.
Many of these offices,
How many
secretaries.
people are there running for governor? Holy cow!
Yes, it'll take you quite a while to go through. There are more running for governors, they say quite often, than the cast of the Rockettes time too. None of them, not to be sexist, are as good looking as the Rockettes. Some of them are fine quality people. Some of them shouldn't be running. But here's what I want you
Well,
to
but
get.
Mike, you make a
Just
really
some
good
of them?
point. Rush Limbaugh used to say that politics is show business for ugly people.
That's a really good way to put it. And thanks for that compliment, Kurt. I think.
That's why he's running.
Yes, that's exactly why. I fit right in with the rest of the crowd, don't I? Are there 7 or 8? I thought there were 8.
Well, if you count the Board of Equalization,
No,
then
that's
there's
not
8.
statewide. There's 5 of them.
Actually, there's 4, and it is considered a state office. It's just
Okay.
not statewide.
Before we go too deep, and there's not more than 4, but let's put that down because I can name them all. I want to talk about the office we're talking about tonight. Yes, we're arguing in public. The kids are going crazy. But here's what I'm going to tell you. These statewide offices, and look, many of you think the Secretary of State, we talk about it, we know about elections, you file a business license, doesn't necessarily touch your life all the time. Superintendent of Schools, Sonia Shaw, touches your kids, certainly touches the future of California, but may not touch your life all
Wait a
the
second, who's touching our kids?
Well, most of the Democrats.
Yeah,
Certainly
they want
Sally
to
Mayer would like
castrate them.
to, but let's put
The
that
state
in.
superintendent of schools is touching our kids. I'm not sure I go for that. Actually, that's probably why we need a new one.
That's why we need a new one. All of you out there, more than just showtime, affecting your everyday life, are affected by something that sometimes you don't like to think about. You pay it either monthly or quarterly. When it comes down to many of these other offices, you're not sure how they affect you. But one of the things California has is an insurance commissioner. And the reality is, and before we bring our guest on who's running for that statewide office tonight, you really have to follow, and most of you don't. I get it. You wonder why your car insurance premium costs more than your first car does almost every month. You wonder a lot of the time, and you hear about what's happened with the insurance crisis when houses are burning. And for those of you out there who don't remember, my house burned in 2007. It burned to the ground in the San Diego wildfires, and I paid a lot of attention to my insurance then. But most of you, on an everyday basis, insurance isn't the kind of thing when you walk into work and say, hey, how was that baseball game last night? I'm not saying Dodgers, Kurt. That baseball game last night. I'm through with that. Let's talk about insurance. How's the weather today? It's a sunny day. Let's talk about insurance. But it affects.
Why? Because you've got insomnia and you want to go put someone to sleep, or what?
Look, I've said this quite often, and nobody in the history of mankind has said it's a Tuesday night. There's nothing good on television. Let's go through our car insurance policy, our homeowners policy. Let's flick through them and just for fun, see what they have to say. But it affects you. And the story of corruption between our current commissioner, who's turned out, is long and deep, and we're going to get into it.
You mean when he shows up to work?
When he
Wait a
shows,
second. You're implying he actually does work.
well,
He
he
shows
does
up
work. He works,
occasionally, but not all the time.
and he shows up overseas. And we'll go. I don't want to dwell too much on him, but we'll get into that with our guest. But what I want to tell you is this: there is an office in California that controls a lot of stuff that affects your everyday life. And you need to be there, needs to be there when you need it, and that's insurance. And the reality is, many people of you out there aren't sure what the insurance commissioner does. And many of you out there, or your friends, I'm going to say, I think most of our listeners, etc., are pretty good with what's going on. But many of you out there, like that, your friends, your neighbors, don't vote for this office because you're not sure what it does. But it's an office which touches every aspect of your daily life. And a couple conventions ago, I was proud to meet someone who is running for insurance commissioner, and I knew what it was, but I got to tell you, she actually impressed me. One, and I'll say this before she comes on, because she was running for the office. It's not the sexiest office to meet somebody at a cocktail party and say I'm running for insurance commissioner, but it's been getting a lot of pub lately because of what has happened when insurance goes wrong. Scott, bring on our guest.
I'll bring her on. Insurance commissioner to be. Hey, welcome, Stacy.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Stacy, introduce yourself to our audience because I'm going to butcher your last name.
Yeah, it's not an easy last name, but my name is Stacy Korskaden, and I'm proud to be running for the Office of Insurance Commissioner. You had mentioned, Mike, that a lot of people don't know what commissioner does, but I've been in the business for nearly 40 years, and I see
I'm sorry.
firsthand what's happening in the insurance world, and that's why I'm running, because we have incompetent people that have run that office, and right now we're in a crisis. And so I owned and operated a successful firm for nearly 40 years.
And I think that's interesting to note to start off with here because most of these offices, mine, for example, for state senate, which is not a reason not to vote for me, but get out there and vote. You don't have um, you don't have a background to run for the office. Okay, Secretary of State, they don't have a background to run for the office. These are elected, but insurance commissioner is kind of important because it's, I believe, called the insurance commissioner. And you would think that people would have a background in actual insurance. But many of these people running for these offices don't necessarily. And many of the people voting for the office vote by name recognition or do other things. So we'll get into that. But Stacy, help educate me. Stacy, you know me now for about a year. And as you know, well, I wasn't dropped on my head as a child. I think my parents threw me down and I still got up. But story for another day. I'm not even sure myself exactly what the insurance commissioner does. And I'm being quasi facetious here. But if people want to vote for someone who knows insurance, what does that mean to them?
So there are three main functions of the insurance commissioner. Number one is to regulate insurance companies. We can talk a lot about that because the way that they've been regulated is different since 1988, and we're living the problem of 1988. But number one, I would regulate insurance companies to make sure that they were fiscally sound so they could keep their promises to the policyholders. Number
Well,
two,
I'm going to stop
licensing.
you there 1 second. Go with each point because I
Sure.
want people to stay there. This is actually because people don't understand how insurance companies are constructed. Okay. And I mean, we hear these fancy terms like reserves, we hear all these other things. But we actually, and we hear about the big names. We've got a Farmers, we've got a State Farm, we've got these names that we see advertising TV. Buy Progressive because we have funny ads, okay? But there's also a lot of insurance companies for car insurance and other things that probably shouldn't be operating in the state of California, right?
Well, I think what really is important, Mike, is that your audience know that what happened in 1988 with regulation, we voted in California, it's called Prop 103.
Right.
And what happened when it was fully initiated in 1990, it gave us a couple things. Number one, the Department of Insurance, the commissioner became an elected officer. And that's one of the 8 offices that you were talking about. So the public, based on really no specific criteria, they would see a name and would vote in the commissioner. And believe it or not, since 1990, we have not had an experienced, licensed insurance professional in that role. A lot of
I got to stop you because I want to go really slow on that point. Are you telling me that since when?
1990.
1990. Beyond only a few years. Okay, maybe more than a few. Since I graduated high school, we have not had a licensed agent or licensed insurance person running insurance. That's actually news to me.
We have not had an experienced insurance professional run the Department of Insurance. Now, we have had a business owner, and that would be Stephen Poizner. He was a one-time commissioner, and then he was voted out, and then he tried again, and he did not. He did not make it the second round. So when I talk about the Department of the role of the insurance commissioner, this Prop 103 said that the California voter can vote in the new commissioner. The reason that's concerning is, especially the last 16 years, we have had just disasters. We've had 2 commissioners that did such a poor job, in my opinion, that the policyholder is suffering right
Bring up
now.
that graphic again, Scott. 1 second. The way you have in the corner there. There's a reason for this. I want everybody to really get their arms around this. Okay. Again, I want to stress my house burned down in 2007. Insurance is not so boring when your house burns down. Okay. It's not. Insurance, by the way, and everybody
And the
out there who
reason,
don't know it, go
well,
ahead.
my reason it's not boring, because I've traveled the entire state of California, and what's happening now is truly people cannot afford their policy. Because remember, I said the first thing that the insurance commissioner does is regulate insurance company. They license, that's number 2. But the third thing is they have a lot of say on fraud and pricing the product. And what happens if an insurance company wanted to change an insurance premium over 6.9%? It began a public hearing, and it's very convoluted. I'm not going to go into all the details, but what was supposed to take 60 days is now taking the whole rating process, in some cases, well over a year. So the Department of Insurance or the commissioner is not streamlining the pricing process. And the reason that's so applicable today and why people cannot afford a policy is because of 2 things: overregulation and price control. We have seen this worldwide. When we have overregulation and price controls, we get 2 things: scarcity of product and increased prices. And that's exactly what we have in insurance. And so I have a solution for all that. But I know that most people right now in California don't find it boring. They find it absolutely distressing, because I'm talking to people that they literally cannot afford their homeowner's policy on their biggest asset, which is their home. And what's so aggravating, gentlemen, is it's fixable. It's all fixable. And if I were to give you a list of all of the actions that needed to take place to destroy the insurance business, California leaders up in Sacramento, they're doing exactly that. And so I hope I have time to talk about the
Oh, you got
solution.
lots of time because this is a really big subject with me. And again, I'm trying to make it again insurance. Sorry, Stacy. Like I said, opening the show, and you're running for commissioner. It's like, hey, let's go over and watch an insurance documentary tonight. I can't wait to get home and walk through my policy. Most people, let's face it, you never read your damn policy, but I want to cover some of the basics that I've experienced. Also, full disclosure, I have been hit from behind, yes, you're incorrectly, about 11 times. Been a number of car wrecks. Okay, and so insurance is kind of important. Now, before we go into your solutions, I want to ask a couple questions here, okay? Does this include health insurance at the commissioner's office? Does this include life insurance? What exactly? I mean, is there any kind of insurance that doesn't have insurance in it? The word that is not covered by the Office of Insurance Commissioner.
No, it includes all forms of insurance. The health insurance component is a small portion. A lot of the health insurance issues that we're seeing right now, especially with people over 65, those are federal issues. But yes, the health insurance, long-term care, we have life insurance, annuities. So there's some financial products, and then we have home, business, work comp, and a lot of all of those things also includes the Department of Insurance has a big role in minimizing fraud because
So
we
let's
all pay
jump in.
for fraud.
Let's jump into a couple of these things here before we get to solutions. And right now, before my phone starts ringing, I want to be perfectly clear. I'm in really great health. And so, although we've brought up long term health care, I'm not a prospect. So, quit buzzing my phone, okay? I'm not a prospect. I plan on going around for a very long time. But some of these things that people don't see. And again, Scott and Kurt, you guys should chime in. And Kurt, especially you, because you're a lawyer, et cetera, allegedly.
Actually, I will. I've got a question for our
Yeah, I want to
guest.
talk workman's comp and these other insurances affect, for example, everything from the cost of buying a bottle of water at the store to how much, my big thing, the Burrito Supreme index is at Taco Bell, because these aren't things you see because you don't pay, but you do. Correct, Stacy?
That's right. If you look at everything that goes into work comp, number one, we have a constitutional responsibility to take care of the employee. But I'm already working on a reform plan for work comp because what's happening is the cost to the employer are going up so fast because of a thing called an XMOD. The cost of actually covering the employee are going up, that businesses are closing down because they can't afford the work comp insurance. So that system is also broken. And
And
that's
to be
why
clear, I'm stopping you to go slow because you and I know what this is. And I have lots of friends that run businesses, and a lot of our viewers slash listeners do this too. But workman's comp for everybody out there means that if you hire somebody like me, likely to get injured, and I get injured or hurt on the job or sick, okay, there has to be compensation paid for me. Is that a fair enough short version of that, Stacy?
it's beautiful.
Okay. And so when that, and the odds are most people don't, just as your odds of not getting to a wreck are pretty good, unless you're driving next to me. So, but businesses are straddled with these really big premiums, and guess who pays them? You do. And we'll talk about fraud, et cetera, et cetera. Ooh, that's a really cool chart. Scott, can you explain that?
I'll let Stacy do it.
So every business
Hold on,
in
let me take two. Stacy, that's a really cool chart. Can you explain that?
I can. So let me just for an example, let's say you're a small business owner and you are a roofing company. You've got 10 employees and 8 of those employees are roofers. They're up on the roof, they're lifting product. That's a pretty dangerous job. And then so 8 of those are up on the roof and 2 of them are clerical. Those 2 types of employees have different class codes. And as you can imagine, the clerical is less costly to insure than the roofer. The experience modifier, that we call it an X mod, is basically the cost. It's a percentage, or it's a modifier based on the $100 based on payroll, and you come up with a premium. So what happens is, if you have let's say you don't run your business in you aren't focused on safety, you have a lot of injured employees. Those injuries then go to the doctor, they go get treatment, and then your X mod gets higher. So your cost per 100, or your annual premium or your monthly premium, would continue to go up. What so hopefully, do you have any questions on that? Is that
Well, I
enough
want to
information on
simplify it
that?
because remember, Stacy, I'm not that bright. Okay. So basically, you have a pool of people that work for you that do different jobs. When they get classified wrongly, the more dangerous jobs cause the pool to go up, almost equivalent to what we would call HMO in healthcare, which people are familiar with. And then when that goes up, that flows across the business, even though all those people aren't necessarily roofers.
So I'm not okay. So let me restate that. So if you have a business that does not experience a lot of claims, you will have lower workman's comp
Hmm.
premiums. But if you have a lot of activity where employees are getting hurt, and through the whole process, it's expensive to cover the health, and to get the whole job role of work comp is to manage the employee, get them healthy, and get them back on the job. There's a lot of problems going on inside that whole process, as far as the person that's employed seeking treatment, whether they're getting the right treatment, whether it's being adjusted fast enough. So the employers in California are experiencing increased work comp costs because of that whole process. And businesses are finding that work comp is very expensive.
Right. It's going up a lot higher. I'm going to let Kurt turn this over to my co-host in a couple of seconds and ask some questions. But as we hit these subjects, so what can you as an insurance commissioner do about that?
Well, there's I would like to talk about the most important thing that we're seeing right now in the state of California, which is our homeowners and auto insurance. And I look at this and explain it to people in two different ways, because right now all anyone can say is they cannot afford their insurance. On this factor, on this side, we have to look at the risk factors in California are going up. Well, what do I mean? How is California handling our fire mitigation? In the 1990s, we stopped our timber industry, or drastically reduced, so we aren't forest. We are also not mitigating our wildfire risk. We didn't always have mega fires, but through the suppression of fire and through the environmental policies that are being driven from Sacramento, we are not mitigating and creating defensible space around our cities. We're doing a lousy job. How are we doing on crime? So crime, when we look at Prop 47 and 57, everyone's probably heard of smash and grab or early release of prisoners. So our crime numbers are going up. So our leaders in Sacramento have put us in a situation where our risk factors in California have gone up. And then on this other side, we have incompetent insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, and before that, my opinion, Dave Jones, 16 years of suppressed rate. So it was a trap. Okay, we have leaders that are saying we're going to raise all the risk factors that an insurance policy covers: fire, smoke, crime, etc., burglary. All the businesses have to contend with this too. And then at the same time, it's very political to say, I saved you X amount on your insurance. So how do we fix this issue?
Well,
On this
Stacey, I want to
side,
start to make it. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want
not
to
at
make
all.
this simple for me, okay? Because remember, I'm only on the show because they let me come on here. I'm think of me as the kid in the back of the class. But simply, insurance is the more likely stuff is to happen, which California's created that environment, whether it's
Perfect.
getting shot or whether it's my house burning down or someone stealing my car, the
Right?
more likely it is the insurance companies need to charge more money. Yes or no, counselor, correct?
Yes, that's
All right.
yes.
And when they are not allowed by a commissioner who doesn't understand the business, they are simply going to leave because they can't make a profit because it's more likely to happen and it probably does. Is that fair enough?
Perfect.
Okay, that's the part I really want people to understand because it's easy to point finger at the insurance companies, but if I was less likely to get shot. I'm probably an exception in my case, but let's put that on the table for 1 second, okay? Then my life insurance would probably be less. And if they can't raise my life insurance or my car insurance or my house insurance to where they make a profit, they will probably leave the state and go to another state like Missouri, we're less likely to be shot. Is that fair enough?
That's a very straightforward way of saying it.
Well, I'm not as smart as you, so I just kind of put it in simple terms.
That was
Okay.
excellent. But how,
Especially the getting shot part.
yes. So
Yeah, not a big plus.
we don't like that. But the
So
fact
no, wait a
is,
second. I want to clarify just a little bit from what Mike was saying
please, Scott.
and what you were saying. So you got two things that are impacting. You got one is the risk that's out there, and the California risk is higher because we're not mitigating our forests. So we have catastrophic. We're not mitigating crime and putting criminals in prison. So we're having more break-ins, more crimes, more property damage, and you've got other risks that are higher because of the political side, which the insurance commissioner really can't do anything about, right? But what the insurance commissioner, I hear the other side of that coin is that these companies have the higher risk, and the insurance commissioner is basically saying, we're not going to allow you to raise your premiums. And so the insurance companies are going, fine, we're leaving. We can't make money here. We're not going to stick around. So like Mike says, you go to Missouri. So the insurance commissioner plays an important role here in being able to have affordable without having fraud and other things be an impact that we're all paying for also. So they keep the rates down, but they don't, make them so that people can't do business and leave the state. Because they leave the state and we only have two insurers left. Hey, there's not a lot of competition here.
Right. I mean, the whole idea is let's lower the risk. And I would be able to sit in front of the committees, the insurance committees with the Senate and the Assembly day one because of my 40 years of experience. And I would say, here's your punch list. These are the things that you are not taking care of the policyholders. We do not feel safe in California. These are the things that you have to do on day one. What I will be doing is open up California for new business. Insurance companies actually want to do business in California. But they need to know that we have leadership in California that is going to keep the house in order. But we need to have an abundance of insurance companies to come in to compete because that's going to lower premiums and cost and make more product available.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Stacy. That's called capitalism. That's normally not allowed under California government. We are trying to change it out for you. But let's be perfectly clear. Back to you.
And I'm going to interrupt again. I'm sorry. Yeah, you also have the state of California acting as the insurance of last resort when the insurance companies bail. So like a lot of those homes in the Palisades were actually insured by taxpayers and not by an insurance company because the insurance companies had already dropped half of them. And so
let her jump in because I know the answer to this question.
I'm sorry, Scott. So the FAIR plan was when policies were canceled, the company that was actually brought in was the FAIR plan. And that is actually a private insurance company that is required to do business in the state of California as a company of last resort. What a lot of people don't know is that policyholders ultimately are on the hook. So what happened was in June of 2023, State Farm said, oh my gosh, we see what's happening. This is so dysfunctional. We are going to stop writing new business in the state of California. So this is when the pot of water started boiling over. So in 2025, right before late 2024, early 2025, when the Palisades fire occurred, State Farm had begun canceling risk in the Palisades. And I asked people, why? We have to use our common sense. Why did this happen? And it comes back to the fact that the company knew that the risk in California was off the charts, and at that we had a Department of Insurance that would not let them rate for that risk. State Farm, just like Tesla, Hewlett Packard, In-N-Out Burger, they're saying we're out of here. We do not want to play in California. So they stopped writing, and the FAIR Plan became the only plan in most instances that were going to pick up that risk. When that fire occurred, there was not enough money to handle. There wasn't enough in reserve to handle that huge loss, the biggest loss in our history. And so what happens is the Department of Insurance said, okay, you do not have enough money. We're going to assess California policyholders $1 billion. So State Farm had 20% of the portfolio of California. Farmers had 14%. So they go down the list. State Farm had to pay 20% of the billion, farmers 14%, and so forth. But what a lot of people don't know is the insurance companies could take 50% of that and assess the policyholders. So
Oh yeah, I
that's
got a
how
huge increase.
that's right. It's so convoluted. So ultimately, we pay. So that has to be fixed. We have to depopulate that FAIR Plan into a healthier market. That's how we lower premiums and increase competition. And we've got to get people off of that FAIR Plan. It's a 911.
And
Yeah,
not
so
to
the
go
FAIR
down.
Plan, I was wrong. The FAIR Plan is not actually a state organization, but it's a state contracted organization. I'll call
It's a
it an
private
NGO of the state, right? This is because NGO is used as an evil word now. But yes, it's an
Right.
NGO for the FAIR Plan. And the reality is that if they didn't keep enough reserves, which they didn't for the fire, as you just explained, the rest of the ratepayers, those people that are not paying premiums to California Fair, we're paying them to State Farm or whoever. We got a spike in our premiums because State Farm had to write a check to the Fair program, right?
And not that's correct. And not only that, Scott, is let's say State Farm said when they did their underwriting, they said, well, there's Scott's house. We took you through underwriting. We don't want to insure you. Then it goes to any other private carrier. In this case, it was only the FAIR Plan. So the FAIR Plan has you insured. There's not enough money in that pot. So go back to State Farm.
Before we stay on
Because
this,
they
'cause go ahead. Sorry, I want
go
Kurt.
ahead.
I want
Well,
Kurt to get a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. I know our homeowners went up a third this past cycle, and our umbrella, very important if you own a business, went up 50%. Why is that? And you mentioned risk factors before, but it can't sustain those kind of increases. Like
No.
housing prices going up 20% a year, it's unsustainable.
No, it can't. It's not sustainable. You're right. So, Kirk, I have traveled state and it's uniform. I'm hearing it everywhere. And what's really frightening is I'm hearing people that have homes, they can't afford the insurance and they're choosing to go without. What kind of protection is that? It's just it's frightening. So, how do we fix it? Well, you ask why is this happening? And the liability numbers are through the roof because we have liability claims are the numbers of lawsuits that are being brought to the market to a policy that's gone up drastically. It's pure loss ratio. So how do we solve it? It's common market economics. So we have to lower the risk. Since Benjamin Franklin, he was the first one that had an insurance policy in Philadelphia. He underwrote the row houses. He said, this is what you have to do to get an insurance policy, we had a fire department back then. He was created, I think, the first fire department. And you could buy a policy if you fit. So he kept the risk down and then he spread the risk. So it hasn't changed since the beginning of our country. What we though have right now is an irresponsible government that is not taking care of our lands. The federal government and the state government is 50% of our land. So if we do not take care of the biggest landowner, how can one homeowner harden their home, create defensible space? They might have done that in the Palisades and they don't have a prayer, because all around the county of Los Angeles, there's also a conservatory area around the Pacific Palisades. They weren't taking care of their land. Conservancy, I think, is what it's called.
Right.
Federal land, state land. Those lands have to be taken care of. Our leaders are doing a poor job. We lower the risk, and I had a CEO call me 3 months ago, and I think this is interesting for your listeners. This company was going to bring in a portfolio of insurance. 15% of it was going to be in high fire risk area. The other 85% was going to be in regular towns. He called the Department of Insurance no less than 20 times. They never picked up the phone and they never called back. They turned their back on California. They were approved to do business in 6 different states in less than a week. That is willful negligence. And so day one, I'm going to open up that department. We're going to start making calls. We're going to say, we're going to have an abundance of product in California.
Well,
And once we do that, we're going to see immediate relief.
well, there's another problem. When I was growing up, we had a house in the hills in Encino, near Mulholland, and there were a lot.
Kurt, when you were growing up,
brush.
were the wagon and the mule insured?
No, not like you, Mike.
Oxen.
But
Come on.
the fire department would come around this time in the spring every year and tell my dad, "You have 2 choices. You're going to pay to clear the brush, or we're going to do it for you, and it'll be a lot more expensive if we do it for you." And
Yes.
that was responsible fire management. We don't have that in the
Yes.
state now, obviously, but I've known people in the canyons up there, in all those areas, and they've had fire after fire after fire, and it seems like it's a government incompetence.
I agree. Now, I was just up in Tuolumne County, which is it's east of Sacramento,
Yep.
and I had a town hall, and I talked to 3 supervisors. They showed me the map of the work that they're doing on the city level and the county level in conjunction with state and the utilities. Awesome job what they're doing. And I promised them that they would be the first county that I come to see, and I will bring CEOs into that county and say, do not ignore Tuolumne County. Don't ignore them, because look at all the work that they've done, and we can bring companies in to start taking risk off the FAIR plan. I'm going to be aggressive. We can't have the FAIR plan be what it is. It's a bloated plan, and people can't afford it.
They should be able to take those things into account, what government's doing, or the opposite, what they're not doing. If they're leaving reservoirs empty, if they're not staffing or funding their fire departments, their risks are higher, their premiums should be higher. And then the residents will sit there and say, what the heck's going on? We need to elect somebody like Spencer to get things, moving. Spencer Pratt, sorry, to, make sure that there's water in the stinking reservoir. Anyway.
So, Scott, this is my idea for how do we, as a department, my role is to advocate for the consumer. So I pray for a strong governor. And let's say it's Steve Hilton, who I've endorsed. So I would go to the governor and say, we've got to lower our fire risk in California. We have 58 counties. Every county has what's called a fire safe council. The fire safe council is where money can come to the counties, and I'm a conservative. I believe solutions are found at the local level. Let's take it to the counties where the dollars will flow, and we can hold them accountable for mitigating high fire concerns. And also we can deal with are all of the water sources available, And can we copy what like your Belinda is done? They have what's called a Helo hydrant, and it's gravity fed. It's an huge empty tube where, it's where they, I don't know what it's a round cylinder. And if there is a fire, it's gravity fed where water will go into the cylinder. They'll bring in a helicopter. They have access to the water and it'll put out the fire locally. I love that.
But
Like a
that's
big
what was
dog
supposed to
dish.
There's
happen in the
ideas.
Palisades, and the reservoirs were empty.
Well, I want to
Exactly.
jump to something here because we're making insurance a fascinating subject because it actually is that most people don't realize. Okay. Now, a lot of people watching the show, and I see a few comments, and you're not saying it, but I get it. You live in the middle of San Francisco or Los Angeles. Well, bad example, but you get my drift. You're not saying, well, it doesn't. But let me explain something. I want to go a layer deeper. Let's talk about housing. Huh? Yes, housing affordability, everybody's bitching, whining, and moaning about. And again, Stacy, please correct me if you need to, which really isn't much of a feat, but just roll with it. Pretend you're shocked that I could be wrong. A couple things. For housing to go down or become more affordable, let's start with the basic tenet like we have in the insurance market. People have to be able to buy and sell homes. Gentlemen, you agree with me? Fair enough? Got to be able to sell
Simple
a home.
economics.
Yeah,
I'm following you so far. Yes.
Now, the
All in
problem
agreement.
is for anybody out there, speaking as a former real estate agent, okay, because I dropped my license, talked to a lot of them, is people can't buy a home or sell their house because the person they're trying to sell it to can't get insurance. Okay, they might qualify for the loan, but they can't actually find someone to insure the house. The number of people that I know, and I know a lot of people, that have not been able to close a real estate deal. They have a buyer, they have a seller, they have a place they would like to move to because the seller would like to leave, providing them with housing. It's kind of basic, guys. I have somewhere I would like to sell, not in this water bottle, and I want people to move in. But because when you have a loan, you have to have insurance. And Stacey, I know you said some people are choosing to go without it. That's if they own their house. Most people don't.
Right.
The bank, and don't tell anybody, the bank's all about them. They want to make sure that if something happened to their house, well, that the house that you're living in, they would be covered and they would get their money back. Okay, that means you have to get insurance to get a real estate loan. And if you can't get insurance that you can afford, or when you hear State Farm is moving out, not writing new policies, you say, well, it doesn't affect me, man. I'm good. Well, no, because if you go to sell your house or your neighbor does and they can't sell it, that affects what we like to call affordability. Did I miss anything on that?
No. And the reason that I think that insurance is indicative of everything that's wrong in California is, let's just take your example of insuring a home. Let's say that your home is covered and it's destroyed by fire. We've got increased labor cost. We have increased fuel cost. We have increased regulation just on paint, drywall, labor, all of those different kinds of pressures that have been put on the actual marketplace, which is causing the dollar of insurance required on your home has gone up. So overregulation, price controls, fuel costs. I could go on and on.
Well, let's add
But
something
I
to
want-
this that a lot of people don't get. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm trying to drive this home because a lot of people out there, I get it. They rent because they can't buy a home because they can't afford it, and they wonder why their damn rent's gone up so much. Now, part of the problem is I'll use the mystical Mom Pa Kettle all the time. Great painting. Okay, Mom Pa Kettle might own a place that they inherited from Grandpa Kettle, I'll say in this case, and maybe it's worth $100 grand, and they've been providing reasonable rent to tenants for a very long time because they don't have a mortgage and their place hasn't gone up. And then everybody starts running around wondering, and you hit this in LA, right? Where they're protesting rent too high, rent too high. So we're going to do all kinds of stuff like this. Well, why don't you protest against the fact that we don't have a good insurance commissioner? What? Because speaking as someone who's owned a lot of properties, if you were renting to, let's say, Kurt for $1,000 a month, and if Scott came along, who I would charge $5,000 a month just because he's Scott, but let's put that down. Let's pretend it's still $1,000 a month. I can't do that anymore because my insurance premium becomes a significant cost, and it's actually raising the rent. Yes, for commercial businesses, but even if you don't own a commercial business or make your own food at home, you probably need somewhere to stay. And in effect, in my not so humble opinion, that also affects homelessness and lots of other crises. Am I right or wrong?
That's right.
Gentlemen, Stacy, kick in
Ugh.
here.
100%. And matter of fact, I met a nice senior couple in Salinas that had a sixplex. They told me exactly what you told me, Mike, that they did not have the heart to pass on the insurance increase to the tenant. So what did they decide to do? They decided to go without insurance on a sixplex. And I know that that's their only source of income. So scary. But I've heard the story over and over again. I want to tell your audience that the solutions are so right for us to take. There in California, we have the ability to change once we get responsible leadership that believe in a brave California free market. Another idea as far as the insurance commissioners, why don't we have innovation on insurance policies? Throughout California, I've got people that want to buy a policy without wildfire risk. Well, let's say that there's a homeowner in San Francisco that's unhappy with their rising rates. Of course, there's a lot of liability claims, there's homelessness, there's a lot of robbery, there's a lot of other risks there that we might not see in the foothills. Those are all accounted for. And we have a lot of homelessness and smash and grab. Businesses are fleeing San Francisco. But if we look at let's say we have a property owner that wants to maybe have $100,000 deductible for wildfire, as insurance commissioner, if that's what our place is going to get it. The insurance companies are wanting to write insurance policies. And if that's a way that we can get more policies into the marketplace, I'm all for it. We have to look at what the marketplace wants and we need to give it to them. And marketplace wants more choice and they want it to be more affordable.
Yeah, and like that example of this guy with the sixplex who who dropped his insurance altogether. Another alternative to him might have been to go to a high deductible policy, especially on the wildfire side of it.
Absolutely. It's very, very frightening, but I have talked to people in the foothills. They just simply are seeing doubling, tripling, quadrupling of their policy. Now, this is another concern that I see. Like Mike was saying, there are homeowners that have mortgages. Then they get force placed on a fair plan. Then they can't afford that. They drop the fair plan. Then the mortgage company will force place a policy. They can't afford that. We're looking at a tidal wave of foreclosures in the next year if we don't get this resolved. And that's why I'm running, because I see that the solutions are right at our grasp. And what's happening just last week in the Department of Insurance should alarm everybody.
And good comment I see from Linda Allen. Yes, Section 8 and these other things do come into play. Again, it's like insurance, the free hand of the market. And hi, Magdalena on KPS Radio. The free hand of the market has to take place in operating this. Gentlemen, take the helm for 1 second because I have another question for Stacy before we get too far along here, but I tend to dominate the show. We've got about 9 minutes left here.
Well, Stacy, are you confident that you're communicating this common sense and pragmatic message widely? Are the media not allowing you access to tell these stories that I think a lot of people would be interested in?
I've traveled physically up and down the state and talked to thousands and thousands of people. I've been on many podcasts. I've been on TV. I was just on Fox 11 earlier this week. I've been on radio shows. I want to thank Mike Netter for his ability to broadcast the message as well. And so I've done, I put 110% out as far as work and getting the message out. So, Kurt, it's never enough. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
We can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am
So when
working hard to get the
do you know
message
any
out.
polls? What's going on?
I don't have any polling.
Are
as far
there
as I
any
know,
polls about what's going on?
no, not that I know of. There are basically 3 elections. The first one was to get my party's endorsement. But I want to tell the listeners that are possibly, when it comes to insurance, it's a nonpartisan issue. And my goal is to make sure that we have affordable, accessible insurance for every Californian. So on June 2nd, we're going to know. I feel things are going very well going into this race. I've been endorsed by many organizations of nonpartisan and partisan alike. But the endorsements have been very solid. And I want to say too that what makes me different is the fact that I've got nearly 40 years of experience, and we don't have time for on-the-job training. If I'm elected day one, I can get to work. No one needs to tell me what bodily injury means. No one needs to tell me what replacement cost means on a homeowner's policy. Day one, we start building. Day one, we start correcting this situation. And I heard a very good idea, which I'm going to implement, is I will have a news conference weekly giving a full report of what's happening at the Department of Insurance, because I'm going to need to lower that risk. And anyone that works with me will be praised publicly. Anyone that doesn't protect the people of California, I will first talk to them privately. And then in the news conference, the public are going to know who is not protecting California.
I want to
All
go
right,
down.
I've got a question about
Go ahead,
showing
Kurt.
up. The current insurance commissioner has a reputation for being absent from work. What's with that?
It's a disgrace. The man's name is Ricardo Lara. He's termed out, and I want everyone to know that name. He should never, ever hold a public office again, because for 8 years he's been known to take about 44 trips on our taxpayer dollar, and a lot of them were pleasure trips. And this is at the same time when we were desperate and we couldn't find an insurance policy. He is not a public servant, and he should never be one again. So
he's had
his
an
name is
8-year vacation paid for by the taxpayers?
No, a lot of it was paid for by insurance companies. His time
was-
off was
he-
from the
He
taxpayers,
did, and he
but
was
he got to go to a lot of places
selected.
to
He wasn't really
conferences.
elected.
Yes. I want to jump to something here.
He was
I want
supported.
to put Stacy on the spot. I'm actually going to do that here and ask you about something that I learned, and I was lucky because I have had good agents most of my life. But around me, when the fire hit, I was actually surprised. Well, not surprised, but you are, because when a fire hits, and by the way, how little people were educated about insurance. And I'm going to ask, would you improve the consumer information that's available to people to educate them on insurance out of the Office of Insurance Commissioner? Because their site and their people that are available which don't answer their phone look like it was done by a friggin' 3-year-old.
It's going to be completely redone. And I'm a nationally recognized agent, and it was because of the service. I, as an agent, called the Department of Insurance, I was not served. If you, as a customer, call the Department of Insurance and you try to navigate the website, it doesn't serve you. That's going to be redone. And we'll also have a list of the insurance carriers, their 800 number, how you can reach them, the quality of their service, kind of like like what we do when we buy something on the internet.
The reason I'm cutting you off, I cannot stress how important this is. My house burned down. I'm not saying this is, Netter's house burned down. I'm still standing, you idiots. But what I'm telling you is that I help a lot of people whose houses do burn down, talking to them about how to use their insurance. There's a million
Okay.
little different facets, okay? What kind of coverage do you have? What does it mean? Did you get this kind of coverage? How do you use your insurance during disaster? And if you think you depend on the state and federal government to help you out, well, you just can't. I'll just leave it at that. But the bottom line is when you're purchasing, rather than you have a good agent or a bad agent or a great
Right.
agent, you ought to have somewhere to go to educate you. Car insurance, making sure you have the proper medical coverage on your car insurance. What? I could go on and on. People don't know and understand it unless you've been the master of disaster like I have and have learned the hard way about it. And the insurance commissioner's office, and you can agree or disagree with me, Stacy, should do a better job of educating the consumer so they can make choices. Most of the time, they meet somebody who happens to be somebody who may have been an agent for less than 6 months, but they're cute or they're smart or they're young and they met them at a party. It doesn't mean you're making the right choices. And shouldn't the insurance commissioner's job be to provide the consumer with information like most government agencies, or am I missing something here?
No, you're spot on. And guess what the commissioner did? Just this last year, lowered the CE requirements for a newly licensed agent. So that means the
That's
insurance
continuing
agent,
education for us
continuing
peons.
education, and that is not good. The insurance agent communicates between the insurance company and the client. If you have not spoken to your insurance agent in the last 12 months, I would highly recommend it. If you can't get a hold of your insurance agent or someone that's competent on their staff, get a new one. There's some great agents in California. The insurance industry employs about 650,000 people in the state of California. And if you look at the ancillary employment, like a auto repair shop or attorneys, etc., it's a huge network of people that can help you. You need to have a good insurance agent. And I tell people it's a great business if you have a heart of service, because you need to serve your client to be successful. In the Pacific Palisades, on my 10-point plan and my website, stacy4insurancecommissioner.com, if there's a catastrophe, we will have a mobile unit from the Department of Insurance. I would still have that down in the Pacific Palisades to help and discover if there's any complaints with a policyholder. Insurance companies can be housed there. We would also maybe have people permitting from LA so we could expedite the rebuild. And so clients can come into our mobile unit and say, this is mom. And we would be able to bring people together to solve the problem. Done that my whole career. The Department of Insurance has been AWOL, and we're going to make a change when I'm in there.
So, Stacy, roll the end. Scott, do you mind rolling Stacy's little commercial she has there? Or do we get that loaded or not?
I can do that. Hold on a second here.
I want to roll this because Stacy, we believe it or not, for those I'm getting some good comments. Again, insurance isn't something that you think about until you need it or have to buy it. But renter's insurance is another one, Linda. Yes, I mean I could go on and on. Everything falls underneath that. We may do a whole other thing on insurance, literally about the various facets of it and the understanding of it. But
We
right
have
now,
a
we need to
leader,
get
a current commissioner
Okay, go ahead, Scott. Roll it. I always want to say
that has botched 8 years, and it is a 911. It is called mismanagement. Our state has mismanaged every single risk factor that's covered under a policy, whether it be an auto policy or a home policy. We have to get that right. How have they done with defensible space or the stacked brush that's accumulated all across California? What about crime? Risk has gone up. Rates can't move appropriately, so the insurance companies have said, we don't like California. We're going to stop writing. We have people suffering. They can't afford a policy because we have scarcity of product, over-regulation, and price controls. It's classic. I just cannot sit back and watch this happen because it's completely fixable. I want to give your audience hope.
Well, Stacy, I thank you for coming on, and I wish you a lot of luck because you sound very rational and very smart. It just seems like you have the temperament to be very painstaking and try to change all this because it's
Scott,
a
let's
big,
leave your
big
name
job.
up for 1 second. There you go. Right now, Coors Garden, if you're drinking Jack Daniels or Miller Lite or not drinking it all like me or water, remember Stacy for insurance commissioner. And again, as I rant all the time, gentlemen, do we have a couple things you want to add? Stacy, I want you to stand for the end of the show real quick. I know we're keeping you longer than we're supposed to, and I really don't care. I'm just trying to act like I do. But I'm a sensitive guy. Everybody knows that. Kurt, hit us with a couple stories this week, and Scott, let's go ahead because this is actually it's been quite fascinating. Go ahead.
Well, Mayor Karen Bass, who's running for re-election in Los Angeles, is blaming climate change for her failed response to the Palisades fire.
Of course she is, because she blames everything but Karen Bass. And of course, we can't leave the show without saying it turns out that the mayor of Arcadia with a Chinese name who didn't speak English was actually a Chinese spy. By the way, all these stories are in Netter News. Stacy, in case you don't know, Netter News is free and you have that kind of money. Even if your premiums are too high, you can log into it online. Yes, there she is indeed, except now she's going to be in an orange jumpsuit.
Well, Mike, we have an insurance story this week. The California Assembly just passed AB 1876, which would force insurance companies to cover puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and castration surgeries for children.
Wow. No, Kurt, I didn't hear this.
AB
We have
1876.
California is so off track, people. I would be honored to have your vote. And Mike, I just pray that you get in there because we have so much opportunity. We have great candidates. And it's a bill like that just shows how off track that we are.
And we've gone longer with you, Scott. Kurt, I'm going to roll this to the end here if you don't mind. Scott, do you have anything you want to add real quick?
Well, I think there's one thing I want to add, and that's more along the mayor's race. But Stacy, thanks so much for coming on. You got a boring position, but people don't realize how important the position is. And I'm sitting there going through the ballot, and of the 11 people that are on the ballot, you're the only one. There is another insurance agent that is also listed from the American Independent Party. But for the most part, all of them are attorneys and teachers, and they have nothing to do with insurance. I don't know if they're as bad as Ricardo Laura, but
Right.
thank you for stepping up and running because I'm sure you're going to take a pay cut and have a lot more headaches.
Yeah, let me get to this. Let me get to this so everybody out there gets it. You might agree we need change. Change
It'll
doesn't
be an
happen
honor.
unless you vote. And vote for every damn office. Those of you out there that say, I checked the box for governor, I'm good, I went home, doesn't work that way. When we talk about puberty blockers for kids, we talk about Karen Bass, all these other things, it's because we, the people, not only do you need to vote, but when I started talking at the beginning of the show, you need to share every bit of information. This show about Stacy, about everything that we talk about, the Facebook groups. I don't really give a damn even if you disagree with me. But the trouble is most people aren't conversing about it. And so what's happened is the conversation is crashing down around them as they see their insurance policy, their price of gas, living in a trailer, the fires which take place. It's your state. And it's up to you to participate because if not, guess what? They're participating for you, whether you like it or not. Get out there and vote for every damn office. And if you don't know what to vote for office, don't be scared. Check a box. Make sure it's not a Democrat, but check a box.
Mike, we have a resource right here on this show for people that don't know all the offices. Scott, tell us about it.
Hey, look, we've got one whole page just for the governor's office. How crazy is that? You're going to get voter fatigue as they just go down. But look, if you're a Democrat, there's a protest vote going on for Democrat. Don't let them take Eric Swalwell out of the race. He's still on the ballot. If you're a Democrat, vote for Eric Swalwell.
But Scott, don't you have a voter guide at taxfighter.com?
I have I don't have mine updated. If you, a good place to go is robinordell.com.
Actually,
Okay,
where you can go to Netter News, where I put the Republican one for LA up. I was just endorsed by Craig Huey today, by the way. I'm putting lots up on my feed. But here's the thing, everybody, and I want to stop right there, and I've actually got to go to something else here, but I want to be really specific on this. If you don't vote for a Democrat, I'm going to say it, you're not going to make a bad choice. Vote. It's better to make some choice at all. You've got to vote for insurance commissioner, superintendent of schools. I've said this a million times. Who's the biggest party, Stacey, in California?
Right now,
Independents.
Decline to state.
Democrats.
You'll have to tell me, Mike.
It's the party of apathy. Period. Flat out. It's the people that do not vote. And for those of you out there that lie, I can see who you are. And in the Facebook groups and in the Twitter X, people complain. And we go look at their record. And many of them have not voted since Nixon was president, or Reagan, or maybe Gerald Ford, I'll give you. But at the end of the day, get off your posterior and vote. Because I told Stacey today in our state to take it back. I don't like humidity. I'm moving to Tennessee. I don't like the cold. I'm not moving to Alaska. Stand your ground by doing something really simple. Vote, and vote for every single one of these offices, and get this information out there. Share. You have to knock on a door, scream from your roof. If you fall off the roof, Stacey will make sure you're covered. But at the end of the day, do what you have to do to take back our damn state. Gentlemen, I'm on a log.
Stacey, thanks for joining us. And we've got a couple more things we want to take care of. Thanks so much.
And remember, Stacey, whatever you do as insurance commissioner, make sure my meds are covered. Go ahead, Scott.
All right, guys, you were talking about affordability, Mike. Gavin Newsom and the Democrats has shoved a $1,350 per month charge for 20 years into a bill on every new single family home. What's with that?
Again, something they hide on us because we don't pay attention.
People are going to hit the roof when that bill hits.
And I've got a good ad for LA Mayor. I want you guys to see.
There's a lot of.
This is a pretty hilarious spoof.
Are you thinking about moving to California?
Yes, California is the place to be.
Come visit our California coastline.
Our coastlines are gorgeous.
We put in a new policy to put voting booths in Mexico.
So now anybody can vote in U.S. elections.
Look at this park. It's amazing.
One of the best in the U.S., right?
Absolutely. Just look at it all. Our state always has real estate for sale as we keep our reservoirs drained.
So we can recycle the homes with fire every year.
So move to California, and we promise to take all of your money through taxes.
And not give a shit about you.
It says it all.
Hey, Kirk disappeared. Oh, no.
Back with you. Didn't want to distract from the video.
All of the creativity that's going on around the LA Mayor. And like you said earlier, right before we went on the air, you know, Spencer Pratt's getting national recognition. He's going on national shows. Levin and a lot of other national radio and podcasters are picking him up. And, to be honest with you, Spencer, he comes out of a non-political background, and he's done spectacularly on these debates. He's out there saying things that Republicans should be saying. Instead,
I think he's part of the fed up majority in this country that is sick and tired of the extremism. These nut jobs on the left are trying to shove down our throats.
I can't remember the last time I've actually gotten excited about LA mayoral race. Hey,
How
what are your
about
predictions?
never? And I grew up there. Never.
How about predictions on the LA mayor's race?
He finishes above the commie in the top 2.
So do you think there? Some people are saying Karen Bass is going to get 50% plus one end of race.
Nope.
Okay, you guys agree with me? That's not going to happen. So who are going to be the top 2?
Bass and Pratt.
Yes.
That'd be my estimate. Who's going to come in first, Bass or Pratt?
The interesting question on that, I want to go back to what I said here before I make predictions. Right now, Los Angeles
Too
is
late,
doing
you already
a
did.
fabulous job of getting out there and Republicans voting. Okay. The
Mhm.
reality is LA, and by the way, this goes statewide, Scott. You're hitting on a real third rail nerve of mine. Okay. Statewide, we're not going to win expletive deleted unless Los Angeles Republicans get out there to vote. And right now, we're punching well above our weight. There are a million registered Republicans in California, in Los Angeles, County. If we can get 700,000 of them out to vote, which is a 70% turnout, we're going to win one hell of a lot. The Democrats,
Including Senate District 22.
including Senate District 22.
So there's an article out by Cal Matters that talked about how a lot of Democrats are holding their ballots back because they don't know who to vote for governor. They're afraid that they're going to split their vote and the Republicans are going to get the top 2. And so they're not voting. They're kind of holding back, wondering who might pull ahead at the end. And they want to make sure they jump on that guy's bandwagon to make sure he makes one of the top 2, because they don't want to be stuck with 2 Republicans in November to choose from. But that's going to have an impact all the way down. I mean, I'm praying for lots of rain on election day so that those lazy Democrats stay home. So they hold their vote for election
what's
day,
going
and then they end
on
up
with
not voting.
what's going on with the fraud allegations with Xavier Becerra? Do you guys have any insights on
Well,
that?
and Becerra has run into Mike. Is Becerra the top vote or top polling candidate right now?
For the Democrats, he is. Williamson pleaded guilty today, in case you weren't paying attention. Okay.
Oh, she did. She changed
Yes.
her plea.
She's pleaded guilty, so
She
she's
did a
going
plea.
on.
She did
And
a plea deal.
Here's really the scoreboard. We're spinning. And in fact,
Everybody needs to know Dana is former campaign manager for Becerra and part of the cabal that stole several $100,000 from Becerra's, one of his campaign accounts, to give to Becerra's former chief of staff. It's very incestuous here. Go ahead. Dana pleaded guilty. You were saying.
Dana pleaded guilty. It's no new news that this levels of corruption go through without. Let's be clear, guys. Okay. I have people denying in some groups I saw that this woman in Arcadia was really a Chinese spy. Show me Jesus. There's corruption. They're busted. They're going to jail. They're pleading guilty. Quit denying it. Quit denying it. Okay.
They have emails.
I don't give a damn if you're a Democrat. And by the way, when I say Democrat, these Democrats that are idiots that just deny, even when people go to jail. These are the same people that were denying that Biden wasn't senile when we all saw it for ourselves. Okay.
Right. You can only do so much. And in fact, I think that's what's going to happen in the mayor's race in LA. You're going to have all these people in West LA. They're tired with the homeless and the crime and all the crap that's going on. And they see the alternative to Karen Bass, who I think they hate and think that she's done a crappy job. And they look at what? I'm going to vote for this communist on the city council. It's only going to get worse. She wants to defund the police more than Karen Bass has and defund the fire department.
Oh, but she reversed herself on that. Now she's taking both sides of the issue.
Well, she sticks her finger in the air, but I don't think people are buying that crap. I think they're going to vote for Spencer. I think they're going to go, okay, we would like to have a change agent, and here's a guy who clearly loves LA and wants to do a good job for LA. We'll overlook the fact that he's a MAGA Republican, as Karen Bass likes to paint him. He is a good guy, fresh face that just wants to do right for the city. and I think he's got a good shot at winning. So it'll be interesting. Gentlemen, thanks for a great show tonight. We're on for next.
Well, Scott, but I want to probe a little bit here on Becerra. Is the fact that this lady pled guilty, is that going to bleed over to him, Mike and Scott?
Of course it is, but here's the reality, okay? Again, it's showtime. It is showtime. Forget the bleeding over. Sorry, Kurt, forget this and the other. Get out there and vote for damn change by voting for a Republican. If you're stupid enough to even consider Becerra, Tom Steyer, the rest of them, to do yourself a favor, don't vote. It should bleed over. It'll keep some of the Democrats.
No, vote for Eric Swalwell. A protest vote.
Yes.
Vote for Eric Swalwell.
But let me tell you something. It won't matter, okay, if the Democrats stay home, if the Republicans do too. So ignore the noise, grab your damn ballot like Scott has in his hand, and get out there and vote now. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I've actually got to go cover the rest of this debate, which I forgot was on, and away I go.
All right. See you guys next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
6:30 on Thursday.
6:30, California Free Radio.
They said trust the experts while they locked up the town. Gave us 12 more genders. Took our paychecks down. Flag on the porch. They call you extreme while they cash big checks and scream on your screen. Tear up the script like it's 1776. Hey, hey. They're allergic to